We have have you noticed how good the skincare team is over at Rush?
Yeah.
The dermatologists over there. We're going to be welcoming in. Do we have Dr. Trivedi on the line? Hi.
Hi.
Hey, good to see you guys again.
Yes, good to see you too. This is an interesting topic. This I mean,
Who knew?
who knew?
Asbestos.
There's some harmful ingredients in certain cosmetic products that are actually still on the market. So we are joined this morning by Dr. Megha Trivedi. She's a dermatologist with Rush University Medical Center. Can you run us through, before we really kick off things and dive into this asbestos question, to tell us about some of the ingredients that are still being used in 2025 that are harmful or potentially harmful?
Yeah, so, I think this whole kind of topic came about because of talc, right? And talc in and of itself is not a harmful product. It's a soft mineral that's being used in multiple products, multiple personal care products like makeup, eyeshadow, bronzer, blush, dry shampoo. But the issue is that talc, the way that it naturally occurs, can be contaminated with asbestos because of the mining process. Asbestos and talc oftentimes occur together side by side in nature. So asbestos has been a major concern over the last 5 to 10 years in our personal care products and our, in our makeup. But again, that is again the major issue here today that we're going to talk about.
So is asbestos being found, or is there just a concern about the connection between talc and asbestos?
Yes, so again, there have been multiple independent reviews, also by the FDA, third-party investigators that have found asbestos within talc-based products. And so that is what has set off this entire, essentially, legislation. So in 2022, because of all of these findings that talc contain asbestos, many talc products contain asbestos, there was the Modernization of Cosmetics Regulation Act that was passed, which essentially meant to expand FDA oversight in terms of testing cosmetic products. And there really has been no mandated testing for companies, standardized testing. And so that was the goal of that legislation. And under that umbrella, in 2024, there was a proposed mandate specifically for testing for asbestos in talc-based makeup products. And there was it was going to be rolled out. It was standardized rigorous testing with microscopy. And unfortunately, in the last month or so, that has been withdrawn. That proposed mandate has been withdrawn by the FDA.
That sounds insane, because asbestos, I mean, I remember when we bought our house, for example, we had to clear out. A whole team came in dressed in these Moon Man, outfits to, take away this asbestos insulation that was around a bunch of the pipes in the basement. I mean, we did not mess around with this. You have to be certified to remove it. How is it even possible that in 2025 some of this material can find its way into products that are actually touching our skin?
Yeah, it's a scary situation. And, like I said before, it's not impossible to think of, because when you look at asbestos, what is asbestos? It is a naturally occurring fiber material that was actually used for lots of things back in the day. It has fire retardant properties. It was an insulative material. So it was used, and now we know that asbestos is a class 1 carcinogen. It has been linked to various cancers, including ovarian cancer, lung cancer, mesothelioma. So it's nothing to joke around about. And, again, we know that the way that talc and asbestos are found in nature side by side, that mining process itself can sometimes lead to contamination. And that's why testing, purification, standardized testing that's science-driven is so important.
What does talc do in these products? And can't we find an alternative to talc?
Yes. So because of what, the controversy surrounding talc in the last few years, many companies have actually switched over to alternative starch-based products, microsilica. So there are alternatives to talc. Now, again, talc is usually used for pressed powders, so just powdery material. Probably the most common one is baby powder, and that was a whole controversy that we can obviously get into. But so again, like eyeshadow, blushes, bronzers, basically anything that has powdery material, that is what talc is used for.
So what is your message then to the public about the risks of some of these? Is there a way to learn about whether a product might have it, and what are the parameters that we need to keep in mind to stay safe?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a tough question right now because, experts were so surprised when this mandate was withdrawn. And so, again, there really is no, and there has not been, and there is no federally mandated standardized testing for asbestos in talc-based products. So to reduce your exposure to zero, and if you really just want to avoid it, it may be beneficial to avoid talc-based products in general. Look for talc-free alternatives, of which there are many nowadays. Now, if you're really, interested in using a talc-based powder, you like the way that the makeup looks on your skin, most reputable companies will publish their findings, their third-party testing findings, and it's available to the public. They will, they have third-party testers, they look for asbestos, and they publish that data online. And I'm sure you could even call the company, but that is what I'd look for. And then again, if you want to be super cautious, just avoiding talc-based makeup products.
So I'm seeing here that asbestos is banned in more than 50 countries, but it's not banned in the U.S. Why is that?
No, so asbestos, so it is, we are not allowed, companies are not allowed to have asbestos in their products. That is, that is clear. However, it's the weak regulatory, the oversight right now. That's the problem. We unfortunately don't have a standardized method for companies that they have to follow for testing. And so, how they test, how many batches they test, if they test is really left up to the companies. And so again, it's so important to have standardization because, like I said, no amount of asbestos exposure is safe.
That is so wild. So basically, if there is talc on the ingredients list, what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong here, is that there is not a 0% chance that there could be asbestos in it.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Hey, does Tums have talc? Or did it at one point, do we know? It's a powdery thing.
It's a calcium carbonate, so no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like,
again, and now we're going to be looking at all the powdery things.
right, anything powdery, I'm like, uh-oh.
So the powdery thing, you said baby powder. Was that the whole issue with the baby powder? Was asbestos in baby powder?
Yes. So there was an ongoing, essentially, Johnson & Johnson had this major recall of 33,000 bottles of baby powder.
Yeah.
Because, again, FDA testing, independent testing found asbestos within those products, which are used in babies. And now, because of all of that and the class action lawsuits, Johnson & Johnson has actually now switched their formula as of 2020 to cornstarch-based powders.
Got it. Got it. Okay, one more question here. You alluded to the fact that there are a lot of non-talc alternatives. Okay, will you kind of set the what's the playing field look like? If you doing our in the news we have oil control powders and that kind of thing. Is there a non-talc alternative to most, if not all, cosmetics at this point?
I would say so. Because of all of this controversy, I would say so many companies, most companies have actually transitioned to their talc-free formulations. And so, again, talc itself is not an issue, it's the testing. However, I think because there is no regulatory oversight and companies want to make sure that consumers feel safe, a lot of companies have transitioned to alternatives.
Okay, so the last question. We shouldn't be sounding the alarm, mass panic, throw away all your makeup. It's just one of those things to keep in the back of your mind when you're shopping. Look at the ingredients list.
Yeah, so just to reiterate, majority of talc-based makeup products should not and do not have asbestos within them. However, keep it in the back of your mind, do your research, look for that third-party testing data if the product does say talc as one of the ingredients.
Okay.
All right.
This is eye-opening. Dr.
Yeah.
Megha Trivedi from Rush University Medical Center, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Of course, my pleasure to be here.
Okay, happy holidays to you.